Well, we have live visuals coming in from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the Japanese Prime Minister is being accorded with a guard of honor along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is present with her. Remember that the duo will hold a key bilateral meeting today along with the 16th India-Japan Annual Summit. Let me go across to my colleague Arzu Seth, who joins us on the broadcast for more on this. Arzu, we are getting these visuals from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the Prime Minister of Japan being accorded this guard of honor. We have our Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well, who is present over there.
Well, indeed, the Japan Prime Minister who arrived in the national capital on Wednesday for a 3-day official visit was received at the airport by Union Minister Jitendra Singh. Also, the visit marked her first bilateral summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi since taking office last year, and also, the Japan Prime Minister will also receiving a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. She is present right now. We can clearly see in the visuals, along with her Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also standing beside her. Both are going to also hold the delegation level talks with the each other at Hyderabad House at 11:30, and also the two leaders will oversee the exchange of memorandum of understanding before issuing a joint press statement later in the afternoon. Also, if we talk about economic security is expected to dominate the discussion as India and Japan seek to build more resilient supply chain for semiconductor, critical minerals, and other strategic technologies. So as of now, we can clearly see the visuals coming in right now of the ceremonial ceremony in Rashtrapati Bhavan. The Japan Prime Minister receives the ceremonial welcome in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also the President Draupadi Murmu present for the ceremonial welcome, and she is with the Prime Minister at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. Yes.
Right, Arzu. In fact, when we are looking at the agenda, a lot is in focus. We are looking at defense cooperation, we are looking at economic cooperation, we are also looking at cooperation in sectors like AI and semiconductors and green energy, which is obviously very important, Arzu.
Definitely, several crucial topics are included in the agenda. The leaders are also expected to exchange views on regional and global development, including the conflict in Ukraine and West Asia, as well as the evolving Indo-Pacific situation. Also, artificial intelligence is also likely to emerge as a key pillar of the partnership, with both the countries expected to issue a separate joint statement under outlining cooperation in AI research and development, industrial applications, digital public infrastructure, skill development, and also responsible AI governance. The summit is also expected to focus on expanding collaboration in semiconductors, advanced battery technology, pharmaceuticals, biogas, oil and gas production, and advanced manufacturing and other high-tech sector as well. So in clean energy, Japan is expected to support India's proposed green ammonia project, which aims to reduce emission in the ship and fertilizer sectors while strengthening the long-term energy scrutiny to security. So definitely, there are lots more agenda, on the table, and that the two leaders are going to discuss ahead of the bilateral meeting and as well as other discussions. Yes.
Right, Arzu, thank you so much for all those details. In fact, viewers, we are getting those live visuals from the Rashtrapati Bhavan after the guard of honor was accorded. Here we have the Prime Minister of Japan, and she is joined by, in fact, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there are all the ministers and important leaders of India present. They are obviously greeting each other, and remember that now our Prime Minister will also meet the Japanese delegation, which has accompanied Sanae Takaichi, who's a Japanese Prime Minister. So Narendra Modi is in fact meeting the Japanese delegation as well, and before that Sanae Takaichi actually met with the ministers of India. We saw that Piyush Goyal was present, so commerce is obviously on the agenda. We saw Hardeep Singh Puri as well, who was present. So a lot of those ministers present. Then we have people of the who are part of the Indian delegation as well, who were present, and a light-hearted moment as well over there, where the Prime Minister shares with the Japanese delegation. So these are visuals that we are in fact getting for you. Let me go across to my colleague Yash Ahuja, who's also joining us on the broadcast for more information on their Yash, obviously great visuals coming in over there. Sanae Takaichi's first visit to India as the Prime Minister of Japan. Lot on the agenda. We are seeing a lot of ministers present over there. S. Shankar can also be seen. So a delegation that has big heavyweights as well.
Yes, Shivani very rightly pointed out live visuals coming in from Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the Japanese Prime Minister has just been accorded with the Guard of Honor. There it is, Prime Minister Modi along with her Japanese counterpart in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Remember, they will hold a key bilateral meeting today, talking about the delegation that has arrived with the Japanese Prime Minister. She is accompanied by a delegation of approximately 50 business leaders from major corporations, including Suzuki Motor President Toshihiro Suzuki and executives from the Itochu and Toyota Shushu. Over 150 representatives from Japan's business community are also expected to participate in the big India-Japan business forum during her visit. Back to you.
All right. So there you have it. We got you those visuals from the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now Sanae Takaichi has made a way. Remember that, like my colleague Yash was pointing out, we have a key bilateral meeting that is scheduled, in fact, today. Let me go across to Ambassador Sushil Singhal, who's a former diplomat who's joined us on this broadcast to bring in an in-depth perspective on this issue. Thank you so much, Ambassador, again for your time, and a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you.
So we discussed earlier this morning what could be the likely key takeaways from this entire meeting that is likely to take place. But I also want to understand from your perspective how important the word Indo-Pacific will be in this entire discussion, and the joint statement that is likely to be followed after both the leaders meet. Because, Ambassador, we have the US trying to shed off this nomenclature of Indo-Pacific, but India has to establish, India is the global leader in the South, and to establish itself, the Indo-Pacific nomenclature continues to be and continues to play a very important role. We hosted the Quad foreign ministers meet as well, and now when we have Japan as well the Japanese Prime Minister come to India, obviously the focus will heavily be on the nomenclature of Indo-Pacific and also strengthening Indo-Pacific security.
The thing is that, when we're talking about specifically the Indo-Pacific region, it is in the interest of every country that Indo-Pacific region remains peaceful and open to all. And that has been the desire because, it's a very important sea lane passes through this region, and where more than 50% of global trade takes place. So some countries who are trying to, control these sea lanes, that has been opposed by all concerned, including US. As you rightly mentioned, that the USA, though it started with Quad and it is a primer mover in the Indo-Pacific, but in recent days, it has been seen that, they are taking a slightly different position, as you mentioned about the nomenclature also. That it was President Trump who brought Indo-Pacific in the jargon or terminology used, but now suddenly they have removed Indo from it. Of course, the ambassador of USA in India has been very categorical that they it continues to be Indo-Pacific from the American point of view. But as far as the Asian countries are concerned, particularly India, Japan, Australia, and other countries who are interested in this region, among them, India, Japan, and Australia, they are members of the Quad. And as we have seen over the period, last 1 year particularly, that these three countries are coordinating themselves on different issues, which includes security, economic issues, and so that even if the U.S. takes a back seat, they continue to work in the direction. Of course, they always say that this Quad is not aimed at any particular country. Only they think they want to cooperate for a free and open Indo-Pacific. And for that, and they say that it's not, merely it's not any security organization. Understanding is more of economic and technical nature. And economic security now, as we see, is also becoming a part of Indo-Pacific strategy. And that is why we talk about semiconductors, critical minerals, energy security, AI, and infrastructure financing. So now the Indo-Pacific strategy, when we are talking with Japan, we are all the countries in the region are not immediately limited to keeping the sea lanes open, but also they are talking about coordinating and integrating their cooperation and mutual understanding in different areas, particularly in the critical areas. So this is becoming an interesting, when you talk about the Indo-Pacific, it's becoming a sort of a discussion which is not merely limited to keeping the sea lanes open. It is becoming much wider in its scope. And Japan wants India to be an important partner because they find that India has the capacity to produce and absorb, because they have a large market. So Japan is looking towards India to be an important partner in this and compete with other countries who are trying to monopolize this.
All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your valuable perspective on this issue. With that, viewers, we are moving on to some breaking news coming in from Pune. Now, dramatic CCTV